Hello boys and girls, I'm back, and today I want to talk about producing some killer sounding high gain rock and metal guitar tones. Especially, I want to talk about blending several individual guitar tones into one big wall of sound. I'm going to show you how I do this and why I do this, and the cool thing is, I'm going to do this very spontaneously today, and I'm only going to use plugins, not my tube amps. So this will be a lot of fun, hopefully. Let's get started. So in rock and metal, we very often quad track our guitars. That means we actually record the same performance, the same riff 4 times. That's a lot of work, and you need to play tight. We all know that. It's a pain in the ass to do, but it's worth it. Then you end up with 4 tracks, obviously, and those tracks are typically organized into 2 groups of 2 tracks. And those 2 groups are typically panned left and right, hard left and right most of the time, sometimes maybe 90 or 80%, but most of the time left and right. And each of those hard panned pairs has a different guitar tone. And if you do it right, those individual guitar tones will add up to something better, nicer, bigger, you name it. If you do it right, they will just fill each other's gaps in the frequency spectrum. Same for the dynamics. If you have one very compressed sound and then maybe another one that is less distorted and has more attack, it will just add up nicely and will give you a best of both worlds kind of experience, you know? So, like I said, having 4 tracks in a mix gives you a lot of possibilities to find different tones. Sometimes this can be a 50-50 blend, which means both pairs have the same volume. Most of the time, I do have a main guitar tone. So that is one pair with the main guitar tone. And then I have an, let's call it auxiliary pair, which is just adding a certain character, a certain flavor, just a touch of something to that main pair, whatever is missing in that main pair. Okay, before I pull out a few DI tracks and start working with the plugins, I still don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but this will be fun. We need a little more theory. I want to tell you something about the mindset that I have when I do this. Let's go. But how do we find the right tones, that will match? That's what many people have asked me. Well, for me, there are 2 ways of doing this. Like one approach is a little more simple, and that's what you should start with. You should have a vision about your final guitar tone. That's what you start with. Then you take your first pair of guitars, let's call it tone 1. And with tone 1, you will try to get as close as possible to your final guitar tone. That means you have to check out all the gear that you have, all the different combinations of amps, cabinets, speakers, microphones, to get as close as possible to the sound that you have in mind. And once you are close enough, or you just feel like you can't get closer, you have to analyze what you have and what's missing. And this is the moment where you pull up, let's call it tone B, the other pair of guitars, not before. First you try to get as close as possible, and then you might find out it sounds great, but there's something missing. I need more low end. I need more attack. I need more mids. I need more warmth. You name it. Doesn't really matter. And I can't get it with my tone A without destroying it in a way. Because, I believe you should not overprocess high gain guitar tones. Just, don't destroy them with too much EQing. Here you pull out the second, tone B, and you start looking for a sound that doesn't necessarily sound great on its own, but will give you exactly what the other tone is missing. That means it will complement the other tone. So if you are looking for more low end, concentrate on adding low end to that sound and choose the amp cab mic combination that gives you the most low end. And from there on, it's experimenting, you never know what's going to happen exactly. And then there's the second approach. This is what I do most of the time. It's for the more experienced user. So I have mixed hundreds of records here, and I've blended a lot of guitar tones. So first of all, I know a lot of combinations that just work. A lot of combinations of amps or cabs, and microphones, whatever, or even full rigs that can be blended together and just work. That's my experience. On the other hand, I have created something that I call my personal tone matrix. And that means that I have analyzed and categorized all the gear that I own. All those puzzle pieces, the guitars, the pedals, the amps, the speakers, the microphones, all that kind of stuff. I know that very well, and I know which combinations might work. If you want to know more about the tone matrix thing, this is something that can really speed up your workflow and make your guitar tone finding faster and better. Have a look at my high gain guitar tone crafting course. Am I trying to sell you something? Yes, I do, but it's worth it. Check it out. There's a link below. So having created my personal tone matrix helps me, speeds up my work, and makes me find tones faster, which is important, especially if you do this professionally and not just for fun. So these are the two ways of doing this. Either you have a final vision about the tone you want to achieve. You start with one guitar tone, tone A, and then you just stop somewhere and add the other one. And the other more professional approach is you also have the same vision, but you already start with two rigs because you know those rigs will complement each other and will work together, which is usually a lot faster than this. But enough talking, enough talking. So let's dive into this. What I have here is a song or a few riffs from a great band from Switzerland. It's a slam death metal band called CARNAL DECAY. This is an EP I produced with them something like 3 or 4 years ago. Hello to CARNAL DECAY. Check them out. There's one of their videos in the description. Check them out. They're really cool. I'm using their DI tracks today to show you how to blend several guitar tones. And I hope we will find 1, 2, 3 different combinations that sound great. Let's go. Here we go. These are the tracks. Let's just have a listen. Yeah, that's a nice bass tone. So we're going to concentrate on that riff, or maybe on that one too. Fast riff and a slow riff. And you can see we've got 4 DI tracks, and they sound like this. What am I trying to do? Let's start with my main tone, and this is slam death metal, so I want this to sound cold and aggressive. It's mostly chuga chuga riffs, you know, straightforward music. I want the palm mutes to be aggressive. I don't want this to sound nice, you know. So yeah, these days people are always afraid of getting harsh guitars and they will notch out a lot of frequencies. I don't care. My main sound should be cold, brutal, and aggressive, but also like very tight and in your face. So let's use a plugin that everybody's using these days, and that is the archetype Nolly. And now we got to open 2 instances. Here we go. Let's have a listen. Okay, this sounds nice. Let me listen again. You guys know I'm not the biggest 5150 fan. What I like about this plugin is it doesn't have that very typical honky mid bump that the 5150 very often has. For the sound that I have in mind, this sounds too cloudy right now, a little too muffled, too indirect. I want this to be a lot more in your face. Let's try to tweak the EQ if that helps. Not really. And I think the problem is the cabinet. It's not sounding bad at all. It's just not what I want. And one thing that I've been telling you is that if you dial in a guitar tone, one thing that is very important is start with the cabinet. And start with a cabinet microphone combination or an impulse response that you know. Otherwise, you know, there are too many X factors. So what I'm going to do now is load one of my IRs that sounds more aggressive and more in your face. An IR that I know, an IR that will also help me to judge how that amp actually sounds. So how do we do that? No, not here. Here. Ah, that's, no. That's the cab. Okay, so let's load an IR. I'm going to use an IR from my Bogren Digital Rainbows and Chainsaws guitar pack. Am I trying to sell you IRs? Of course I am, but they sound great. Okay, let's use vocal standard and see what happens. So this is before. Let's load the IR. So this is much better, way tighter, more aggressive, more in your face. Maybe let's try another one. Let's try the bright standard. That's even more extreme. And this goes even more in the direction I was describing. Let's fine tune the amp a little bit. Not a lot happening. Ah, that's nice. Very difficult to dial in more low end on this plugin. I don't know why. But I like what the presence knob is doing. That's just making things even more aggressive. Maybe we want to add a boost. What do we have here? Combo drive 1, 2. This seems to be the tube screamer. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's nice. So really cold and aggressive. I like that. And like I said, this 5150 plugin doesn't sound as honky as many of the real 5150s I know, so I like it. And that rattle in the high end is actually something good for the sound that I'm looking for right now. But I think we need a little EQing because I want to cut some of the very highs. They sound a little annoying to my ears. Yeah, that's much nicer. Still aggressive in your face, but you get rid of that. Let's see if I can make the bass sit a little deeper. That's before and after. So you see, this frequency is where the fundamental of the main palm mute chuga chuga sits. And this is the upper bass region, 230 hertz, where things get a little cloudy. I don't want to touch the rest because I think like I'm actually close to what I want. Let's have a listen to this in the mix. So what we got now is our main tone. It will need a little more work, detailed work later, but you know, it's aggressive, it's cold, it's in your face, it's tight, it has character, so I'm happy so far. So now, second step, now you should analyze what's missing, what's maybe missing. And if you listen to a tone like this, it sounds very scooped. You know, you got some low end, that is okay, tight enough for a metal production, and you got a very aggressive upper mid-range and high frequencies too. What we don't have are real mids. So this is where our tone B, the second pair of guitars, might, complement our main tone. If we find a tone that adds thicker mids somehow. And there are several ways of doing this. So if I think about it now, We could add something that sounds a little warmer and more creamy. But we have to be careful because we want the overall tone to be aggressive. But this could just thicken the whole tone a little more. So this is one way, one direction I could go. The other direction would be to go into a more fucked up direction, HM2 Grindstein kind of thing, which is also very mid-focused, but not in a nice way, in a chainsaw aggressive way. So that could also work. Let's try both. Well, this is how I think. I analyze the main tone and I try to find out what's missing. So let's try to add some mids. I can only use plugins now, so this will be difficult. Usually, I think now I would go for my Diesel D-Moll amplifier, which is not here, it's somewhere else, which has really thick and creamy mids, but also sounds very metal in a way. The other amp I would reach for is the Orange Rocker Verb, which also has nice mid. Wait a minute, yeah, wait a minute. I have an idea. There is a Rocker Verb in AMPLITUBE, right? I have just received a new AMPLITUBE, but I haven't used it, and I haven't checked it out. So right now I will use the old version. Let's do that now. I can tell you that in AMPLITUBE 3 and 4, I'm not in love with the cabinets, and I told you it's better to start with a cabinet microphone combination or an IR, like in this case, that you know. So this time I'm gonna use this one here, one of those here. Those are my DV77 IRs from Eminence. I'm not sure which one I'm gonna use, but yeah, let's see. Let's start with one guitar. Let's open AMPLITUBE 3, not 5. Sorry for this. But as I told you, sometimes those auxiliary guitar tones, they don't have to be beautiful on their own. Here's AMPLITUBE. So what I want is, I want to turn off the cab. Don't want anything else here. And let's go for Orange Rocker Verb. Let's see how that sounds. No reverb, please. Guess we need to adjust the input level a little bit. My hardware Rocker Verb has a lot more gain. I don't know what happened here. And it really feels we need a boost here. This is not tight enough and it's not even enough gain. So let's add a tube screamer. Here we go. Like this. Remove some of the low end, obviously. Nice. Let's just see which IR works best here. This one, the linear, DV77 linear, sounds a little more honky. So I prefer the other ones, the Angry or this Clean Scoop, soloed. Especially this one, sounds nice. But I think for what we want right now, we want mids. I will go for linear. Yeah, that's nice. Adding a little treble just makes it sound more heavy metal, a little tighter, more aggressive. Yeah, I want to boost the mids. Don't think we need more in low end, but this is nice. Okay, so this could work because this is a mid-focused tone, tight enough, but not as aggressive as the other one. So this might, yeah, let's see what happens. Let me just copy that channel to the other guitar track. So we're gonna listen to the 5150, the nonlinear DSP plugin alone first, and then I will add the Rockaverb. Let's see what happens. It's like another voice coming from underneath, like whoa, like that. It works even better than I expected. Let me just fully crank the mids here. I think I have to do it twice because the Cubase link function doesn't work in this plugin. Let's see. I want the 5150 to be the main tone, so I'm just gonna slightly mix it in. It's not gonna be a night and day difference. Let me find the sweet spot. And this is wonderful, right? You got the main tone and then you got the additional orange track just to thicken things a little bit. Let's just have a listen to the faster riff. Yeah, it really helps because the 5150 alone sounds a bit lonely, if you ask me, sometimes. Especially on the single notes. So, yeah, this just makes the whole guitar tone a lot better. Let's solo the orange one more time. And we all agree this is not the greatest guitar tone on its own, you know? Gong, 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 gong. But combined with this, it sounds a lot more like a full production. Okay, nice. So now let's try something else with the same tracks. We keep the 5150s as our main sound, but now we want to make things sound a little more brutal, a little more death metal, a little more nasty, and I think that's what I actually did on the real production. Once again, there's a link to the real production below if you are interested. Because CARNAL DECAY are cool band. Now I will send the second pair of DI tracks into the Grindstein plugin. You all know the Grindstein plugin, right? It's my plugin. It's still on sale, by the way. Am I trying to sell you the plugin? Yes, I am, because it's freaking fantastic. So I think for the next 5 days, it's still on sale for $50 or something. And if you are on my email list, you will get an additional discount right now, okay? Check out, there's another link to my email list. Enough advertising. Okay, we're using the Grindstein plugin, which in a nutshell is a Boss HM2 thing on crystal meth, so to say, okay? But it's a full suite with distortion, several channels, an EQ, IR loader, everything. So we just need that plugin. And the cool thing is that plugin works on a fucking stereo group. So you just need one plugin, okay? So let's send those two tracks here. These ones are the orange tracks. Those two tracks here to this grind group and open up the Grindstein. I know how the Grindstein sounds. It will always sound kind of mid-forward if you use the upper channel. So this will automatically go into the right direction. It will sound nasty and mid-forward, which is what we want because, you know, the main track sounds so scooped. Let me just make this a little bigger, size big. Here we go. Let's have a listen. Nice and nasty. Okay, what can we do? I think I want this to sound a little more Swedish. That means I'm gonna once again start with the IR and use one of either those two or that one. They sound more extreme. Let's have a listen. It has a chainsaw frequency that might help us. Oh, that one is nice. Let's have a listen how this sounds in the mix. Already works. You know, you don't have to do much if you know what you're doing, okay? I told you, this one sounds mid-forward and it sounds nasty and fuzzy, so it's gonna make those clean-sounding, scoop-sounding main tracks more evil, a little more chaotic, and add those nasty mids. But let's fine-tune this a little bit. This is the EQ, where you can dial in even more chainsaw. I don't need any additional highs. That's nice, isn't it? You can really tell like those two different guitar tones. And now we have to find the right balance so that they perfectly blend. Let's see. Once again, we'll start with the 5150 tracks and I will fade in the Grindstein. And this adds another ugly dimension, if you ask me. You get that nasty mid distortion that just makes everything sound a little more out of control in a good way. You know what I mean? So let me just, it's not very loud now, but you can clearly tell the difference. But now let's compare those two different tones that we might add to our main tone. We start with the 5150 alone, then I will turn on the orange, and then I will switch from the orange to the Grindstein. Let's go. So you see, now we have found two ways of making our initial sound better. One is just, the orange is just a little more invisible. It just makes it, you know, more muscular and a little thicker. So just supporting the main track, adding some fullness. And the Grindstein is really pushing things more into a death metal direction, into a nasty direction. And this for me is an artistic decision. Where do we want to go? And this is the fun part about creating guitar tones in the studio, you know? Where do we want to go? How do we want to sound? It's so much fun. Okay, so I hope I could help you with this one for your next production and give you the right mindset, how to blend guitar tones. Alright, that's pretty much all for today. There are a few links below. If you are interested in one of my IR packs, you will find them both there. If you're interested in my guitar tone crafting course for Chuga Chuga metal guitars, you'll find a link as well. If you want to purchase the Grindstein plugin, and that plugin is so much dirty fun, you better do that now, because we still have the introduction sale for the next few days only, until October 10th. And if you want an additional discount, check out another link below to my email list. And finally, if you are on that email list, there's also like a Discord link, so where you can meet some other cool people. Just check it out. Some cool links. Join my email list. Join the KOHLE Audio Cult. We will have a lot of fun together. That's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, to tell your grandma how cool it is to listen to that bald German guy. And yeah, once again, that's all for today. I love you all. See you in hell, motherfuckers. Bye-bye.